The Dark Side of Orgasm, Part 2. The shadow that whispers your name. There's a moment after every storm when the world looks cleaner. The air smells sharper, the sky feels washed. But underneath the quiet, there's still mud, hidden puddles where the rain gathered and refused to leave. That's what happens inside you after repeated pleasure. On the surface, you feel calm. Deep down, something sticky remains, a kind of emotional residue. And that residue has a voice. A whisper. That's the shadow of desire. The whisper begins. You don't hear it right away. It starts like a nudge. A casual thought on a random day. Maybe just one more time. You're not even in the mood. You're bored or tired or lonely. But the whisper promises comfort. It tells you you'll feel better, just a little release. And for a moment, it feels like it's right. Because the whisper isn't loud or threatening, it's gentle. Like an old friend you shouldn't trust, but still answer when they call. You give in again. And when it's over, you feel the same hollow sigh, a sigh your body knows too well. That's the shadow at work. It doesn't shout. It simply waits for silence, then speaks softly like guilt with a honeyed voice. When the brain becomes a negotiator, your brain is clever. It starts bargaining with you. This isn't bad, everyone does it. At least I'm not hurting anyone. I can stop anytime I want. Sound familiar? That's the language of the shadow. It doesn't argue facts, it argues feelings. It tells you you're in control, while quietly pulling the strings from behind. You start noticing that it doesn't even need real stimulation anymore, just the idea of it. The thought alone gives a mini rush. A text, a picture, a memory, and suddenly your heart races. The brain learns to chase anticipation, not just the act. Because anticipation is endless. The shadow doesn't want satisfaction. It wants repetition. Humor break, the last time lie. Here's a funny thing about the phrase, last time. It's never true. It's the most repeated lie in human history. I'll eat the last cookie.
You cannot expect to win.
I'll check my phone one last time.
Psychology
I'll
proves
do
that
this
environment
just
shapes
once
behavior.
more. The
If a
brain
smoker
says
keeps
last
cigarettes in
time
the house,
the same
he will
way a
eventually
gambler
smoke.
says one more bet.
If a man struggling with
It's
lust
never
keeps
about
easy
winning,
access to
it's
pornography,
about chasing
he
the
will eventually
feeling of
fall.
almost winning.
The Stoics taught
And
us
that's
to
how the
shape our
shadow
lives
keeps
wisely.
you running in circles,
Marcus Aurelius
laughing,
wrote, "The soul
promising,
becomes dyed
and
with the
quietly
color of its
losing
thoughts."
pieces of yourself
If you
each time.
surround yourself with lustful
The
images,
emotional
your
debt.
soul will be colored with lust.
Imagine your
If you
emotions
surround
as a
yourself
bank
with discipline,
account.
it will be colored with
Each
discipline.
orgasm spends a little
So
of your
change
mental
your environment.
currency. Dopamine,
Remove what tempts you.
oxytocin,
Place
serotonin.
reminders of virtue
When
in your
those are
room.
gone, your
Fill your
brain
mind
goes
with
into
noble
emotional
words, not dirty
overdraft.
pictures.
You start
The less
borrowing
fuel you
energy
give
from your
desire,
future
the
self
weaker the fire.
just to stay balanced
Pain is a
today.
teacher.
That's
Here
why
is a
after
paradox.
overindulgence,
Pain can help
you feel lazy,
The Stoics embrace
unmotivated,
discomfort
or
on
emotionally
purpose.
numb.
Seneca
You're not
would fast,
lazy,
wear simple
you're
clothes,
bankrupt.
and sleep on the
The
floor.
problem is, the
Why?
shadow doesn't care
to
about
remind
your
himself
account.
that he did not need
It
luxury.
only cares
to
about the
train his
rush.
soul to endure.
It whispers,
In the
you'll
same
feel
way,
better
you can use
afterward.
discomfort as training
But
against
afterward
lust.
is exactly
Take a
when the
cold
debt
shower
collector
when
knocks.
temptation rises.
Loneliness
Do
wearing
push-ups
a
when the
mask.
urge comes.
Most people
Go for
think
a
their
run.
craving is about
Train your
pleasure,
body to associate temptation
but it's
with
often
strength,
loneliness
not weakness.
in disguise.
Biologically,
It's the
this
heart
works
saying,
too.
hold me, and the
Exercise
brain
burns off
answering,
restless
I have a
energy and releases
shortcut.
endorphins, giving
That
you a natural
shortcut
high without
works,
guilt.
but only for seconds.
Psychologically, it
Real
builds the habit of
connection
responding to
requires
temptation with
vulnerability.
power, not surrender.
Fantasy
The role of
requires none.
self-respect.
And
One
that's
of the
why the
deepest
shadow
wounds of
prefers
masturbation is the
fantasy.
loss of
It never
self-respect.
rejects you.
Each time
But the
you fall,
price
you
is
break
steep.
a promise to yourself.
You get safety
Each
without
broken
warmth,
promise weakens
release
trust.
without closeness, relief
Eventually,
without
you
joy.
stop believing in your own
It's
word.
emotional junk food,
self-respect
quick,
can be
tasty,
rebuilt.
empty.
How?
The mirror
By
moment.
small victories.
Eventually, you
By
catch
keeping
yourself
promises,
mid-act,
even tiny
halfway
ones.
between craving and
If you
regret.
say, I will wake up early,
You see your
and
reflection
you do it, your
not just
self-respect
in the
grows.
mirror, but in your
If
thoughts.
you say, I will exercise
You realize,
today, and
I
you
don't
do
even
it,
want
your
this,
respect grows.
I just want to stop wanting
The
it.
Stoics believe that
That's the
dignity
shadow
comes from living
moment.
in harmony with reason.
The split between
Each
who
time
you are
act with reason
and who's
instead of
in
impulse,
control.
your dignity returns.
It's like watching
And
yourself
the more
from
dignity
outside
you have,
your
the
own
less willing you will
skin.
be to throw it away
You're
for a
both
moment
the
of lust.
prisoner and the guard.
Shaping your identity.
And the strangest
Another
part,
powerful
you're
tool
still
is
rooting
identity.
for your captor.
People act
You
according
start
to who they
laughing
believe they are.
nervously because you
If
can't
you
believe how
I
deep
am
this
weak,
loop
I am
goes.
addicted. I cannot
Then the
stop,
laughter
then you will
fades,
act like
and
that.
all that's left is a
If
question.
You believe, I am a disciplined
When did I
man,
lose
I am
the
free,
steering wheel?
I am strong. Then
The
your
reward
actions will
circuit
follow.
hijack.
The Stoics
Let's
constantly
get
reminded
simple
themselves
with
of
the
their role.
science here.
Marcus
Your
Aurelius
brain's
told
reward
himself,
system
"You are an
is like a
emperor, but also a
thermostat.
man."
It adjusts
Remember
pleasure
your duty.
and motivation.
Epictetus reminded
Orgasm
himself,
turns the
"You are a
dial to
philosopher.
maximum for a moment.
Live like one.
Then, like
So
all
tell yourself,
thermostats,
I am not
it
a slave.
compensates by
I
turning
am
the
not an
dial
addict.
way down afterward.
I am a man of reason.
That means
a man of
if you
virtue.
overstimulate it too
Repeat
often,
it.
your baseline
Live it.
happiness level sinks.
Shape your identity.
Normal things
Because when your
stop
identity
feeling
changes,
rewarding.
your actions follow
Food
naturally.
tastes dull.
Understanding urges
Music
is
feels
passing clouds.
flat. People's
Psychology
smiles
shows that
don't
urges
warm
rise
you.
like waves, peak,
So you go
and then
back to the
pass.
only thing that
The
still
average
gives a
craving
kick.
lasts only minutes if
And
you do not feed
boom,
it.
another loop
The
begins.
Stoics used this wisdom
It's
long
not
ago.
evil.
They taught
It's
that
just
emotions and
chemistry
desires are
turned
like
into
passing
habit.
clouds. They seem
But habit
powerful,
becomes
but they always
identity
fade.
if left unchecked.
Marcus Aurelius wrote,
The
mind
illusion
is stronger
of
than any
control.
oppression."
I can
So the
stop
next time the
whenever
urge
I
comes,
want.
Don't panic.
That line should
Don't
be
say,
printed
"I
on
must
every
fight
warning
forever."
label for the
Say
human
instead,
ego.
this will pass.
Because control
It always
isn't
does.
about stopping once.
Sit through it.
It's about not
Breathe.
needing to start.
Watch it fade.
You can delete
Once you
apps, block
experience the
websites,
truth that
take
urges are
cold
temporary,
showers,
you
all
lose your
good
fear of
steps.
them.
But if the
Turning shame
desire
into
still
fuel.
owns your thoughts,
Many people
you're just
drown in
fighting a
shame after
shadow
falling.
with a flashlight.
They say,
Every
"I am
time you
worthless."
turn away, it
I will
shifts
never
behind
change.
you again.
And shame
True
pushes them
control
deeper into
comes
the habit.
when you understand
But
why the
Stoicism
shadow was
turns
born
weakness
in
into
the
strength.
first place.
The Stoics
What
taught that
emptiness
every failure
was it
is a chance
feeding?
to grow in wisdom.
What silence were you
Marcus
afraid
Aurelius
to
told
hear?
himself, "When you
That's
fall,
where
rise
freedom
again."
hides, not in
You are not
resistance,
ruined unless
but
you
in
quit.
understanding.
So instead of
Humor
drowning in
break,
shame,
the
use
brain,
it as fuel.
tech support.
Ask,
Picture
what did
this.
I learn?
Your
How can I
brain's
avoid
pleasure
this trigger
center
next time?
is like a customer
How can I
service
use this
desk.
failure to grow stronger?
You call and say,
In this
hey,
way,
I feel
every
sad
fall
and
becomes
bored.
a stepping stone,
And the
not a
brain
grave.
says, have you tried
Gratitude
turning
and
yourself
perspective.
off and on again?
A strange but powerful
That's
weapon
literally
against
the
lust is
solution
gratitude.
it gives you.
Why?
Every time
Because
life
lust focuses
glitches,
on what
it
you
sends
don't
you the
have.
same old fix.
Gratitude focuses
But
on
you're
what
not
you
a
already
broken
have.
computer.
When you feel restless,
You're a human
pause and
with
list what you are
unprocessed
grateful for.
feelings,
Your health,
pretending
your
they're
family,
just
your
hormones.
talents, your
The
opportunities.
roots of the shadow.
Gratitude shifts your
The
mind from
shadow
craving to
doesn't
contentment.
appear out of nowhere.
The Stoics practice
It grows
this daily.
from unmet needs for
Epictetus
comfort,
reminded his students,
validation,
"Do not
love,
spoil
or
what you
power.
have by desiring what you
When
have
life
not."
hurts, the shadow
Gratitude
offers a
calms the
quick
restless soul.
bandage. It
And the
doesn't
calm soul
heal,
has
it
no need
hides.
for quick, shallow
Every
pleasure.
unspoken fear, every disappointment, every lonely night, the shadow collects them. It feeds on silence and shame. The more you avoid pain, the more it grows. Not because pleasure is evil, but because escape is never peace. You can't fix a leaking roof by dancing in the rain. But the shadow will keep handing you umbrellas instead of tools. The emotional recycling loop. You feel lonely, right arrow, you chase pleasure, right arrow, you feel empty, right arrow, you chase pleasure again to fill the emptiness you created. It's a loop so subtle, it looks logical. And that's why people get stuck for years. The brain literally rewires to expect escape instead of endurance. You stop facing sadness, boredom, or anxiety. You outsource your emotional pain to your biology. And like any bad deal, the interest rate is brutal. You pay with confidence, clarity, and peace. When desire becomes identity. If you do something long enough, your mind starts believing this is who I am. And once that happens, you defend it. You tell yourself it's harmless, it's natural, it's your right. And yes, it is your right. But that doesn't make it your
Closing Part
freedom.
1.
Freedom
So
is
in
the
this first
ability
part,
to
we
choose,
have laid the
not the
foundation.
compulsion to repeat.
Seeing desire clearly.
When desire becomes
Facing the
identity,
truth without
you
shame.
stop choosing.
Understanding the
You
cycle.
start obeying.
Redirecting energy.
That's when the shadow stops
Training the
whispering
mind as a
and
muscle.
starts speaking in your
Changing
own
your inner
voice.
story.
The lost
Practicing
spark.
stillness.
Remember
Building
when
a
life
larger
used to
purpose.
excite you for no reason.
Repetition and persistence.
When you'd wake up with random
this is just the
energy,
beginning.
just happy to
In
exist.
part 2, we will
That
go
spark
even deeper.
fades when you trade
We will
depth for
explore advanced
dopamine.
Stoic techniques,
The world
psychology
loses
of
color
self-control,
because
and
your
the final,
brain's
most
brightness
effective
setting
method to
is
deal with
always maxed
masturbation
out
once
and
for all.
burnt. You
And
start
trust me,
needing bigger
the last
thrills
point is the
just to
strongest
feel
weapon of them
small
all.
joys.
You don't
And
wanna
when
miss
small
it.
joys
Go ahead
die,
and leave a comment
life
below
starts
if this
feeling
video
like
has helped you.
background noise.
Part 2
The
is
shadow
coming.
wins quietly, not by destroying you, but by dimming you. Humor break the dopamine addicts. Imagine dopamine as a tiny salesman inside your head. Sir, you look stressed. May I interest you in a limited time offer called temporary relief? And you, a loyal customer, say, fine, but this is the last time. The salesman smiles. He's heard that before. He even offers you a membership plan. You sign it without reading the terms. Spoiler, it renews automatically. The body keeps score. Even when the mind denies it, the body remembers. It remembers every burst, every drain, every late-night escape. You start feeling it in strange ways: brain fog, mood swings, fatigue. Because pleasure isn't just mental, it's biological investment. And overuse is overwithdrawal. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a joyful experience and a compulsive one. It only knows energy out, energy gone. So it starts protecting itself. You feel less sensitive, less excited, less alive. That's your body saying, please, I need a break from fake highs. The curtain pulls back. One day, the whisper doesn't feel seductive anymore. It feels sad. You hear it and think, you again. That's when you've seen the trick too many times. The magic stops working. You start craving something else, not the pleasure, but the clarity that comes when you resist it. The silence after control feels cleaner than the noise of indulgence. It's subtle but powerful, like finally breathing fresh air after years of perfume. You begin to wonder if maybe pleasure isn't the enemy, maybe it's the teacher. The awakening, almost. You start experimenting with restraint, not out of guilt, but curiosity. You notice your mind gets sharper, your emotions more stable, your energy more natural. You laugh more easily. You feel lighter. It's not magic, it's balance returning. The body and mind finally syncing up after years of confusion. But the shadow isn't done. It hates losing its host. It starts whispering again. Come on, you've earned it. You've been good just once. And that's where most people fall, right at the edge of awakening. Because the closer you get to freedom, the more tempting the cage starts to look. Cliffhanger, the last temptation. So there you are, half free, half bound. You can see the sunlight, but the shadow still sits behind you, smiling. It says, you think you've won, I am you. And for a second, you believe it. Because part of you still wants the comfort. Part of you still misses the lie. But what if there's a way to walk past the shadow, not by fighting it, not by fearing it, but by transforming it? That's where part 3 begins. The part where pleasure and awareness meet, and you learn how to use the same energy that once drained you to rebuild you. To be continued, part 3, the fire reclaimed.